Are you serious? Are you serious? Okay, guys, it is true. The Russians are sending that S-300 missile defense systems to Syria in response to, of course, Israel shooting down. And really, Israel didn't shoot down the Russian plane. Israel used the Russian plane as cover, and it was the Syrians that shot it down. But this isn't nothing new to be too excited about, because Russia was going to supply Syria with S-300 missiles. They made that announcement early on in the Arab Spring, several years ago. They're just now getting around to it. But Russia's announcement today will supply Syria's government with sophisticated S-300 air defense systems after, of course, last week's downing of that Russian plane by Syrian forces responding to an Israeli airstrike, a friendly fire incident that stoked regional tensions. Now, the Russian Il-20 military reconnaissance aircraft was downed by the Syrian Air Force and its air defenses. They mistook it for an Israeli aircraft, killing all 15 people on board, all the Russian military crew. Russia laid the blame on Israel, saying that the Israeli fighter jets were hiding behind the Russian plane, an account denied, of course, by the Israeli military. But Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu announced that the S-300 missile defense system will be delivered to Damascus within 2 weeks. Earlier in the war, Russia suspended the supply of those S-300s, which Israel feared that Syria would use against it. Now, Shoigu went on television to say that Russia is now going to go ahead with the shipment because the situation has changed and it's not our fault. Shortly after this statement, Putin got a call from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and told him that the Russian move was aimed primarily at fending off any potential threat to the lives of Russian servicemen, according to the Kremlin. But Netanyahu's office said in its readout of the call that the Israeli Prime Minister stressed once again that the responsibility for the unfortunate incident laid on the Syrian army that shot it down and on Iran, whose aggression is destabilizing the region. So in an apparent reference to the S-300, the statement said transferring advanced weapons to an irresponsible hands will only increase the dangers in the region, adding that Israel will continue to defend its security and its interests. Shoigu announced that Russia would also equip the Syrian air defenses with new automated control systems to enhance its efficiency and help identify Russian aircraft. On top of that, the Russian military will start using electronic countermeasures to jam any aircraft that would try to launch attacks off Syria's coast. We are convinced that these measures will calm down some of these hotheads and keep them from careless actions which pose a threat to our troops. But the Israeli military has denied any responsibility for the downing of the Russian jet, insisting that Sunday that Israeli jets did not hide behind the other Russian aircraft and that they were in Israel airspace when the Russian plane was downed. The Russian military angrily rejected those claims on Monday, and Defense Ministry spokesman Major General Konashenkov produced data collected by the Russian air defense systems in Syria, purportedly indicating that one of the Israeli F-16 fighter jets was flying too close to much larger Russian plane, resulting in Syria making a mistake and sending their homing devices on the bigger plane from Russia, which is what they shot down. So as you can see, the cat and mouse game is continuing and will continue to go on. Israel will continue to defend their nation by going into Syria and blowing up Iranian military outposts or even Syrian military outposts or airstrips, especially if there is sophisticated weaponry or rockets that are being transferred from the Syrian army or the Iranian army to Hezbollah that are stationed in southern Lebanon. So we'll continue to watch what's going on. Last thing we need is a Russian-Israeli conflict, but if you study Bible prophecy, that's exactly what we're ultimately going to get. So we're going to stay on top of this as the tensions continue to rise in the Middle East between Russia and Israel, Syria and Iran, the United States, Turkey, the British, the French, and everybody else that's involved. It's just getting crazier every moment. Now we know that France is being accused. A French frigate in the Mediterranean had fired some missiles that apparently, this was 4 or 5 days ago, but those missiles were identified by the Syrians, and they want to know what in the world the French are doing. So it's just the tension's building, guys. The tension is building in the Middle East as the madness continues. We're living in the last days. Give your life to Jesus Christ. I'll be live tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern. We'll give you a full report on everything going on around the world at 10 p.m. Eastern tonight on Primetime Live. Are you serious?